Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the software that runs the PS3 and then ties the two together. So we've tested the motors, they work. We've got the PS3 synced up, and so you could run some sample code pretty easily to verify that the PS3 is working. But just show you how those two are tied together. If you go to the Darkwater directory, there's a file for the Digger PS3. If we take a look at that, just step through it real quick, just a few of the highlights. So just like before, we bring in a few libraries. This here is for managing the different LEDs that I'm currently working on, and we'll eventually set up the camera and a few other things. The Pygame is the Python game controller for PS3, initializes it, sets the joystick to 0. If you see errors where it says joystick 0 not found, then your syncing is not working. You have to make sure that that light is on your PS3. So once it gets past this and initialize the joystick successfully, then I do just like the other script, grab the Darkwater controller, set all the motors, grab handles to all the motors, initially set them all to off, wait for a second for things to settle down, print a couple things out. And then I do this while loops. This is the forever while loop that just waits for events from the PS3, and then based on the event type, it does some things. So here we can see that the joystick motion, if we move the left right on the left stick, so that's the PS3 controller left stick, either go left or right. I decided I wanted that to be what rotates the entire Digger. If the left stick goes up and down, I want it to control the large arm. So once you get into this if statement, so the axis 0 turns out to be the left joystick, left and right. So that's how you identify that. And then you get this value called event value. That's a number between 0 or -1 and +1. So I grab that and multiply it by 255. If that value is close to 0, I go ahead and set it exactly to 0 so that I don't get motors running at a really slow pace, because sometimes these controllers don't go exactly to 0. So that just gives me a little bit more of it when I want the motor shut off. And then I've commented out, but this just is something you can uncomment out if you want to do some debugging. And I set the motor speed to this value. So if you want to modify the, right now I have it as a negative event value because I want it opposite from the way the controller was, or you can set it to plus. You could change which value, which joystick, etc. So that's the left and right, and then I set up the right joystick to do the small arm and the bucket. So these are very easy to modify. It is important to note that things like the trigger, almost everything on the PS3 can be treated either as a motion, which gives you a value between -1 and 1, or as an on-off switch. So for a lot of these things, including the buttons on the front, I use as a variable so that I can trigger, for example, the speed of the left trigger, bottom and front button control the tractor wheels, front and forward and backwards, and then that's for the other motors. That controls the 6 motors, and then you can look at if the event type's a button, and all of the buttons can be treated as a button or a variable. Left button, I want to turn on an LED, those kind of things. So I just print off what button it is. Turns out button 12, I want to turn on the headlights. Button 13, I want to turn on the tail lights, turn on or off the tail lights based on a toggle. So that's simple enough. And then if the while loop ever does end, which it never does, it would turn everything off and exit smoothly. So this script here I have set up as a system control. So if I start Digger PS3, that will run that script and run continuously. If I then do a status Digger Looks like it's up and running and it's active. So, and this runs automatically when I boot the Pi. So once all the testing is done and ready to go, then it's really easy to get going. So now that I have that, let me come back off of the screen here. So I've got my PS3 controller here. I've got the device there. So now when I run this, you can see the arm going up and down, left and right, makes that rotate. This controls the bucket. If I go the other direction, it controls the smaller arm. Bucket, smaller arm. And what's really nice about this setup is the further I press the button, the faster it goes. So I can control it, a lot of control over it. And then I also have things set up so that when I press some of these buttons on the side, that I can get some of the lights coming on and off. My tail light's not working, so I must have accidentally unplugged something when I was messing with it here, and have that light coming on and off for one of these other buttons. And then I plan on modifying some of these to control the music once I set up the music. I've ordered a USB sound card. It's about $20. I'll get some more information and do another video on that, so I can replace this little speaker here with ideally with this little USB music box, and then I can put different music on there, and based on what you press on the PS3 controller, you'll be able to play different music, and then maybe set up the start button to give you a engine start and stop kind of configuration. I might select the different music using the select button. Possibilities are endless, as they say. So that's the basic setup for utilizing a Pi Zero and a Darkwater 640 on one of these fairly inexpensive digger or excavator devices. Pretty simple, not a lot of work to do, and I'll make all the software available if you want to do it yourself. And then I guess I have a few other projects kind of waiting around. I picked up this device here for a little dump truck as well, and I've got a few other of these, so I'm looking at seeing how difficult it is to convert some of those as well. So keep listening on this channel. Thanks.